It's Golden Hour Adventure Time, featuring everyday people doing extraordinary things. From the peaks of victory to the valleys of defeat, these are their stories. Now, from the back of the pack, your hosts, Justin and Robbie.
Welcome to the podcast. Today's guest is Ryan Head. We were just joking before we started on how we pronounce his last name, but it's Head, so we're all good.
Yeah, we didn't want to Heod or...
You guys know how Justin and I fumble with names, so...
Yeah, we're perfect with names.
So awesome. Welcome to the podcast, Ryan.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, you reached out to us through Instagram, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
What made you want to come on our podcast?
You guys, like the way you guys, your podcast, your episodes, just how you guys are, align a lot with how I am. Like, it's funny. It's funny to hear like what you guys have said, like throughout your podcast and stuff. And I know I'm like, I got to be politically correct, but I also don't want to be politically correct. So
do not be politically correct here.
No,
exactly.
This is your safe space to not be safe.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because, like, I don't know, like, I think a lot of times in, like, any sport, people focus so much on being, like, the best and the fastest and, like, you know, and, like, I personally feel like a lot of, like, ultra running, a lot of athletes, a lot of the races have, like, lost the idea of, like, having fun with the sport, right? And, like, making it enjoyable, and like it's okay if you're last or like you're not finishing in the top whatever, right? Like, I don't know, for me that you just resonated with me. I was like, oh my gosh, like other people who like get it like I do, or at least maybe we don't get it, you know, who cares, but like we enjoy it, like, because like for me, like all of the races I've done, whether it's my hundreds or my 50s, like I tried to find like the happiness, the joy, the excitement out of it. And like, I see some of these people that are coming in and they're like unhappy. They like hate that what they're even out there. I'm like, dude, why are you even here then? If you hate this, like, what are you doing here? Like, man, I would leave if I was hating it. And I get it. We all go through rough patches in our races and stuff, but like, I don't know. I just like that. I'm like, this is just a fun hobby of mine that I've like really taken in. But it's just a fun hobby. And I'm like, man, if you don't find enjoyment in this, you're probably doing it wrong.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, we've all been at aid stations where a runner comes in and is just treating the aid station volunteers like shit. And you're like, man, this person's here for free trying to help you. And
yep,
you're just being so rude to them. Like, maybe take a time out.
Yep.
Aid station time out away from everyone.
Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes... Yeah, like the Utah running community is very interesting. I mean, I'm sure every area is too, but like there's people who take it very serious here, and I'm like, man, like this is just fun. Like we should be having a good time. And sometimes I'm like, man, I'd hate to be one of their pacers or their crew, these people that are just miserable at the aid stations. I'm like, yeah, that'd be awful.
Where are you at in Utah?
I am just north of Salt Lake City by about 30 minutes. So,
okay.
Yep, yeah.
I grew up in Salt Lake City.
Oh, did you? Awesome.
Yeah, I left in 2003. I left when I was 22.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, I'm up in the Layton area, if you know where that's at. So. Yeah.
Yep. That's where my grandparents lived. I made many travels to Layton and past Lagoon on the way, and would always tell my parents, can't we just go to Lagoon instead? for people who don't know, Lagoon is the local
Disneyland of the Disneyland of Utah. So for what it's worth,
yeah. I grew up in Utah, and it was a lot of mountain bikes. That's all I did back then was mountain biking. Then moved around Arizona, then Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Then I started running in Colorado, and I've been back to Utah. I still have family there multiple times, and to see how ultra running has blown up in that state is beyond me, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
It is. What is it like with the mountain bikers there now?
It's nuts, like, truth be told. Like, I mean, it's like every state, I'm sure, and every area or region of runners is like, there's always like we hate the mountain bikers, and the mountain bikers hate the runners, and then probably all parties hate the hikers. So it's so funny.
It's the horse riders. Let's get it right. It's the horse riders.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. No, it's always fun. Like, I don't know. Some people, it is crazy because some people get really like agitated by it. And I'm always just like, listen, if they've got momentum, I don't want to make a biker stop. Like, do I really care about this run and like whether it was, 10 seconds longer than I want? I don't care. I really don't. So I just usually would step to the side. But yeah, like ultra running here in Utah has gotten crazy. Like, I don't know. It's just that outdoor scene. I think it was always somewhat big. Like, 'cause I remember as a kid, like every freaking family in my neighborhood was like hikers and stuff. But then it's just taken that next step forward and everybody is like running on trails and the scene's gotten pretty big, like, and it's fun. And we have a couple of the bigger names here in the state. I know one moved away, Carl Meltzer. He now lives in Colorado as well. But yeah, like there's a lot of great races here. There's a lot of great trails. Like it's just beautiful. It's, we always joke like NBA players or whatever, like Utah's a horrible place. Like who would want to ever play there? And like the people that know Utah, they're like, oh yeah, Utah is a horrible place. Don't come here.
Yeah,
Stay
don't
away
go.
from it. Just stay away. Like we don't want you, because even if you don't like, even if you don't like running or something or hiking, like there's snowmobiling, there's skiing, there's snowboarding, there's mountain like biking. I mean, you name it. Everything is here, and it's just a fun outdoors place. And when I think of like Colorado's well known, and then there's Utah, which is like that unknown sister state, if you will, that just has tons of stuff. So it's an awesome place, and it's a lot closer to get to like ski resorts and stuff from like Salt Lake City than it is from like Denver to wherever.
Yeah, my parents worked as snowbird for many years.
Oh, nice,
so
yeah.
I was a little ski bum growing up.
Nice.
Thursday was early let out in elementary, and I would run home and grab my skis and jump on the bus and ride up and get a few runs in and ride home with my mom. And it was amazing to me because when I was living there, it was right off Wasatch Boulevard, so it was close. I mean, we could be to Snowbird, Alta, or Brighton, or any of those resorts. Then, 10, 15 minutes if the road was clear. Then I moved to Colorado, and you hear about the ski resorts in Colorado, and Denver is pretty far away from, and the traffic is horrible.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Then I still have some friends that live in Utah, and I've just heard about the growth of people being outside, mountain bikers, hikers, whatever. And they've shown me pictures of the trailheads at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning up the Cottonwood Canyons, and there's no place to park.
Yep.
They're parking a mile or so down the road just to get to the trailhead. And that's what Colorado was. Didn't matter what time, especially any of the 14ers. You would get up there, depending on who you were. Some people start at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
When us runners got there at 7 or 8, parking lot was full, and we'd have to run on the road just to get to the trailhead, but we never really cared too much about that. So now living here in Rapid City, South Dakota, as Justin knows, I get the trails to myself. I mean, you pull up to a trailhead and you're lucky if there's one or two other cars there. So don't get all the vert, but we get plenty of junky, fun stuff to run on. So with no people.
That's awesome. Yeah. I have a good friend that just moved up to Evanston, Wyoming. So just right across the border. And he says the same thing. He's like, oh, dude, you should come up here. And I'm like, I don't know about Evanston. Hopefully you don't have too many listeners from there. But I'm like, I don't know about Evanston. But he's like, dude, you don't have any issues. You can run on anything. But then he's also the one that's like, dude, I was like, there was all these moose on the trail today. And I'm like, I'm good, dude. Like, I'm like, that doesn't sound too fun. But you're completely right. Like every trail here, every major one, because like I live up north, so I'll do a lot of the stuff up in like the Ogden area. I do venture down, do like a bunch of the stuff there in like Mill Creek and Lambs Canyon, a couple of those areas in the summer, just for training for like the Wasatch 100. And it's nuts, man. Like every time there's just tons of people. So I'm always like, if I'm not running by like 5 in, you're going to be like hiking on a, pavement for, a mile or two.
Speaking about Wasatch, have you ran Wasatch?
Yeah, twice I've done it. It's awesome. Fun race.
What years did you run that in?
So last year in 2023 and then this year in 2024.
Oh, nice. I was
So
there.
you got in 2 years in a row. That's awesome.
Yeah. The first year was interesting how I got in. I was one of these people that got in lucky because someone didn't update their credit card and ultra sign up. So they threw a few extras and I got in. But this past year before I truly got my name drawn. So it was a good day. So, but yeah, no, it's been good.
Did you put your name in the hat previously before that?
Nope. Nope. So
1 and 2.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, and everyone's like, dude, you haven't had to wait a year. And I'm like, I almost had to, but I got lucky that first year. But yeah, registration or the wait list just opened today. So I put it in again for this year. I want to make it roll and then just signed up for the Bear 100 as well for this year or for 2025 as well.
Have you run the Bear?
Yeah, I did it this year as well.
Jeez. Wasatch than the Bear?
Yeah, 3 weeks, 3 weeks between them.
When are you going to sign up for the Slam?
I know. Everyone's like, when are you going to do that? I'm like, let's just see. Let's just see what happens. I was truly, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure we'll get to it, but like, I was pretty wrecked, man, after both of them. Cause like, I can
only imagine why.
Exactly. This is just a fun hobby. And like, I work my 9 to 5 and I'm a dad. I have 2 kids and, I want to make sure I'm a good husband too. And yeah, like I wish I could be in the gym more, like hitting certain muscle groups and stuff like that. But I spend most of my time just getting vert and trying to be prepared for what was coming in both of those. But yeah, like I was pretty messed up. Like it's only been the last couple of weeks that I felt halfway normal, or back to my normal self.
Oh,
seriously.
Man. Yeah. That's just, it's awesome. But that, you ran the last 2 of the Slam, and I was thinking about, all the ones that were before it. What do you think's harder, Wasatch or the Bear?
Oh, easily the Wasatch 100 for sure. No question. Wasatch is like, because people have asked me the same thing, like, what would you recommend for like a first? And I was like, in Utah, I definitely recommend Bear. The trails are way more runnable. Like it's not as junky. Wasatch is just junky. Like you don't really get any like nice smooth trails. Like the Mill Creek area. Like there's some pretty just like people have like raked those things out. No rocks, no nothing. No like the roots someone's come through like a hacksaw or whatever and cut them out. Dude, there's so many parts on Wasatch. You're just like, if you can just like for me, right, as a average, maybe even worse runner than most, right? Like just trying to be like looking at, I'm like, okay, I got to keep that 21-minute mile like average, and I'm like, playing the clock game the whole race because I'm like, dude, just can't run that fast as some people can, and over those things, and like because I've tripped and ate it a few times on the races both years. And yeah, that's probably the hardest. I know there's like 4,000 feet more vert, like 3 to 4, somewhere around there. That part didn't really bother me so much. The other thing is the 2 years I've done, especially this year, was really hot. Like we had a heat wave-ish come through that first week of September for Wasatch, and both days the high was like 87. So we were just like, I mean, for me, that's just hot, right? Like I'm not used to that. I don't live in like, Death Valley or like Arizona, so I'm not used to it, like running in that for 100 miles. And it got to me. Like I full on had heat exhaustion at Wasatch this year, and I just struggled through to get to that finish line.
Struggling is sometimes better than not struggling.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it sometimes.
Yeah.
You learn a lot about yourself when you're in that struggle, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, heck yeah.
So I've ran the section I ran Wasatch last year was from, it was up East Canyon. I don't remember the name of the aid station.
Was it Big Mountain?
Yeah, Big Mountain down to almost down. Yeah. And I mean, there were sections where it's just like ball bearings. You're just done.
Dude, exactly. You hit it right on the head. Like that's what I tell people. Like that section when you're coming down. And everyone, like that whole section, I think it's like total vert gain is like 23, 24. And then like down is like over 4,000. And people are like, oh, that's probably an easy section. I'm like, dude, it's one of the worst sections of the whole race because it's those ball bearing rocks, man. And every time I've trained on it, it's just like I slip every time. And it's just like, and you go down and I'm like, doesn't matter what shoes I wear, man. I've tried like all kinds of different pairs to see if something will help me catch better, and I'm like, you just got to be careful and not go too hard in that section. Yeah, when you're coming down Bald Mountain and you're heading down to Alexander Watershed, dude, you just like not fun.
And you know, growing up there, I had my expectations of Wasatch, but the whole time we were just exposed. I mean, like the sun was just beating down. There was no trees. We weren't in the trees. And then tiptoeing down that little section, that was fun. Then I've paced 50 miles at the Bear. I can't remember the section where they let you get a pacer, mile 31 or 32 or something like that.
Right hand fork, yeah.
Then I paced one guy up to the 50-mile mark. Then I waited for another guy. Then I paced him to the lodge. And like you said, that whole thing is just, it was beautiful. Like fall colors, aspen trees, all pretty much runnable. I mean, it's got its climbs and all that, but it's kind of like buttery single track most of the way. And the Bear's always been on my list after that little jaunt there I had.
Yeah. Bear is just, yeah, I know everyone's like, because I love Wasatch because that was my first hunter, and it's like your first love, man. You always think about it once in a while. So, and I don't know, like for me, I love Wasatch, but man, after doing Bear this year and just like how like the trails were just so smooth, and like people said this year, like, oh, Bear was hot, and I'm like, nowhere near the Wasatch. I thought it was so nice. Like the weather was just perfect. And at night, like, as you probably remember, like you go up to like, I don't know, I forget the name of the place up there, but you go to like the coldest recorded spot in the continental like landmass, not up in Alaska or anything like that, but it's like the coldest spot that's been recorded here in the United States. And like right at September, so like the lows here and like down in the valley or whatever, maybe like the low is like 45 or whatever, but like I remember up there, they were saying they're like, be prepared, like it's in the low 30s and maybe high 20s. And it was cold. I remember like middle of the night, like 2, 3 in the morning, I was like, this is really chilly up here. But like you said, like just smooth, like really nice trails, not too junky. And like, there's really outside of like the very start of the race where you climb up like 3,500 feet over the first like 7, 8 miles, whatever it is, something like that. There's never anything crazy like that again. Like it's pretty just like gradual, maybe like 6-7%'s the max of the incline. And so you got a good clip going the whole time. It's really an amazing race. Like I would tell anybody if they're looking for a first, yeah, that's a good one to give a go after.
Yeah, I agree. It's on the bucket list, you know, whenever Justin and I sign up for the slam, Rocky Mountain
Nice.
Slam.
Yeah, the Rocky
Grand.
Mountain Slam.
Heck yeah. That's awesome.
I'll get it done.
I'm gonna be dead when we do that.
I love it.
I forgot what races are in that. What races are in the Rocky Mountain Slam?
What is it? Bighorn,
Bighorn's one of them.
Hard Rock, but we won't do that.
Yeah, we won't get into that one. Leadville.
Leadville, Wasatch, the Bear. There's that Wyoming.
Oh, the Wyoming Range.
Wyoming Range.
Yep.
Is there another one?
Tough.
Yeah, I've heard Wyoming Range is rough for sure.
Yeah, I've looked at that. You just look at the
there's a
finishing
reason they call
range.
them the Rocky Mountain Slam. That's going to be hard.
I love it. Yeah.
Start with the easy one, Bighorn, then no
the
100's easy.
Yeah.
No
the
100's
easy one.
easy.
The easy
Yeah.
one, yeah.
No 100's easy, but
Yeah, exactly.
so what got you into this crazy sport we call ultra running?
Yeah, I started as like I don't know, man, I guess just how far we want to go back. But so in high school, like a dummy, I hurt my knee twice, and I've had to have it reconstructed twice, ACL, MCL, the works, all that fun stuff. And I always liked running in like my youth, like when I played football for this college, for the school or whatever, not college, I wasn't that good, but like high school and stuff. Like our coaches would punish us by making us run and stuff. And I was always like, this is easy. Like I like it. So it was never an issue for me. And then, when I was in college and like I got married and stuff, I put on a ton of weight. I was a pretty big guy. I put a post about it just the other day, but just like I was up to like 265. I was a big dude, bigger for me than what I feel like I should have been. And, between dieting and eating right, getting back into running. Like I dropped about 85 pounds and, started just doing like 5Ks and 10Ks. Like I never wanted to get into races. I was always like, I'm never going to do that. Like who would pay money to run an organized race? Like just go out and run around your neighborhood. And then, I just started doing like little local 5K, 10Ks. And then I just started doing like half marathons. I was like, that's kind of fun. Like I like this challenge of being out, like pounding the pavement for 2 hours. And then I finally got the guts to go do the Ogden Marathon, which is a beautiful road marathon here in the state. You run through the Ogden Canyon, which is just amazing, and bonked really hard at mile 22 to the point like I thought I was going to die. I probably was over exaggerating, but yeah, that kind of like started everything. So that 16 marathons later, road marathons later, I was just like, and I've had a few friends be like, you should look at ultras. Like you tend to like the running scene a little bit. And so I did my first 50K out on Antelope Island here in the state of Utah. And that was really fun. I had a good time there. So I just did your natural progression, like did the 50K, did the 50 miler. And then after I did my second 50 miler, I was like, let's go. Let's try 100. Like, let's see what happens. And Smith 50 miler the first 100 miler didn't go well. I DNF'd at mile 50 because it was horrendous. Like, Justin, it sounds like just listen to some of the things like this is nothing for you, but like,
yeah, right.
We're out on Antelope Island and it's like, what do they call, like snow squall came through and it just like pummeled us with like the snow, like sideways snow, rain mixed after the snow had hit. And it was like sideways, like the wind was coming at us. And dude, I made it to mile 50 and it's like, no way, I'm so done. Like I'm out. And like, it was my first time experiencing something really tough, really bad in the ultra scene. And I was like, dude, I've always just been like, oh yeah, if it's like a road marathon, it rains for whatever, you survive, right? You get through it after 4 hours or whatever. But man, that was like bad because it lasted for like 5-6 hours. And then they're like, yeah, there's another part of the storm that's coming in tomorrow morning. So if you don't get the race done, like it's going to be bad. And so I don't know. I just like, between all these factors, I was just like, forget it, I'm out. So I DNF.
Send it, bro. Send it.
And if you guys want to be honest, like it sucked. I really wish I hadn't DNF there because it was one of those things. But I'll tell you that it's been the greatest learning experience of my life walking away from that, because just to summarize it, of all the things I've learned, I never want to feel that way ever again. Like walking away from a challenge that I know I was capable of. It was not a physical thing. It wasn't like I was like, my knees hurt or, I twist an ankle or something weird like that. It was just, I broke mentally and I told myself, man, you're never doing that again. And yeah, ever since then, it's been fun. Like, I'm not going to say that every race has been perfect, but I've stuck it out and like got through the hard times and all the crap that happens to all of us when we're on hundreds. And yeah, man, it's been good. So that's kind of my journey, how I got to do these crazy things.
And then he just gets into Wasatch on back-to-back years. Like it's nothing. And this year he'll get right into Western with those 2 tickets.
Right?
He probably, yeah. How many tickets do you have? You have 2 or what?
Just one. I was too afraid. I know everyone's like, you should put in. Last year I was like, heck no. Or 2 years ago I was like, no way, man. That's my luck, is when I don't want to do it, I know I'm going to get drawn. But I did this year. I was like, heck yeah, putting him in. So
yeah, he'll get in. Yeah, immediately. Yeah, with his luck.
I know if that happens, it would be like, oh, okay, here we go. Let's do it.
I got a question for you. So, running back-to-back big 100-mile races, Wasatch and the Bear, those are arguably some of the hardest races in the U.S. that we have. You mentioned that you work a 9-to-5, 40-hour work week plus, 2 kids, wife. Like, how do you balance your training and your family life with work?
Have a really patient wife. I'll just start off by saying that. I really do. I'm super grateful for my wife, Jessica. Like she's the rock for sure. So she's awesome, very supportive, wants me to chase my dreams of running this stuff. So definitely have to throw that out there. Right. It's early mornings, 9 times out of 10. My kids aren't like little anymore. My oldest is 11. My youngest is 9. And so they're not babies. I can only imagine. Like, I wasn't into the scene as, much as I am now before, like, when my kids were little babies and stuff. I don't know. Like, I got to give it, if there's someone out there that's doing these when they have little babies, like, good on them, dude, because I don't know how you do that. And I heard you have one on the way, Justin, so congrats. But
we're going to find out.
Yeah, exactly. So, But yeah, like I don't know. I got to give it to people that do that. But yeah, like, you know, it's waking up. Like my alarm is set for 4:05, and that's when I get up every morning to get my run in and do my, you know, whatever I have planned for that day. You know, and then on weekends, man, it's the same thing. Like everyone's always like, what time do you get up on like Saturdays and Sundays? I'm like, same time. Like I don't take a like break. Like if I want to get the long miles in and everything, like you got to push yourself. And I don't know, that I think that's the key, because I think I'm not saying that like that someone can't, or they can, they don't have to do those, you know, long runs on like Saturdays and Sundays and still finish both of those races. I just know that I needed to put that much work in just to put myself in a position to finish both races, because I remember finishing Wasatch this year and I crossed that line and I was like, there's no way in hell I'm finishing. Like, I don't think I can make it to Bear. I remember being just absolutely terrified. I was like, I feel like I just gave everything I had to get across this finish line at Wasatch. 3 weeks later, I got to go do this again. And that first 20 miles or 19 and a half, whatever, to that first aid station on Bear, I was like bad attitude and everything. I was like, this sucks. Like, I'm going to go back to feeling that way again. And it was rough, like, to be honest with you. But anyways, back to your original question. I mean, it really is like, you got to be structured and you've got to be balanced. And you do got to prioritize. And I get like people get sick, you know, family events come up. And you try to like balance all that, but I think you got to keep your priorities straight. That's my honest opinion, because if your family life crumbles, 100% guaranteed you're running. I mean, maybe you can still go for runs, but I mean, I think any normal person, maybe not, I don't know, but I think any normal person, that would still be in the back of their minds if their family life is crumbling and they're not putting the work into that they should be. So I always say, like, I love running. It's like one of my favorite things in life, but family always comes first.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough one. In our last podcast, we were just recorded before this one, I was talking about my ultra divorce. So, you know, I didn't pay attention and got divorced over running. So, yeah, I get it. Priorities change, and I think that big key takeaway for me when that did happen was, you know, my daughter wasn't not in my life every day. Mm-hmm. And running wasn't as important anymore, because I put running, you know, at the top before my family, including my daughter. So that, you know, it changed my outlook on running, and it changed, you know, the way I look at my training and the way, you know, I like to prioritize things in my life now. And, you know, it's been in and out with running ever since then. Running groups, other stuff too, you know, just stuff takes over in life and you got to put it in the right direction. So, you know, I really appreciate hearing what you were saying, that, you know, family comes first. You know, running is a very selfish sport. Ultra running, let's put that in there, because if you just run 5Ks every day, it's, you know, 30, 40 minutes of your time, or, you know, an hour or something. But, you know, your family does not see you a lot on the weekends. And if you're up at 4:00 in the morning on Saturday and Sunday, go get your long run in, you come home, guess what? You're still a dad. You're still a husband. Just because you went and ran, whatever, 16, 18 miles in the mountains doesn't mean you don't have any responsibilities anymore, and you get to come home and lay on the couch, eat a bunch of food.
Yeah, it's just funny. You sparked a memory. I don't know why, but I paced one of my good friends. His name's Jacob Bateman on Scout 100. It's a 100 miler there in Pocatello, Idaho. And I paced him through the night. I was his night runner, and did 26 with him, a marathon. It was fun. It was a beautiful race. Well, I get home that day and my wife's like, hey, we got this free sod. And she's like, hey, I really want you to resod our park strip. And so I'm up there, right? And it's like June. And so it's like already like 80 degrees or something here in Utah. And I'm like putting down sod after running 26 and being up all night pacing somebody. And I remember I just got to this point where I just turned to her and I'm like, I'm done. She's like, what? And I'm like, I'm done. Out. See you later. You want to finish the sod? Like, I got to go. And I came and laid down on our floor in our bedroom, and I was out for like 2 hours straight. I was just like, no, no way. And she's like, you did not look good. I'm like, yeah, I was scared. Like, I was like ready to pass out. That's how tired I was just picking up the sod, and rolling it out and everything. So it was just funny. When you say that, I'm like, heck yeah, man. There's been some rough times where I've got home from runs or whatever. And yeah, been ready to just pass out. But like you said, you just got to prioritize that stuff. And it's easier said than done, right? Like anything in life, like it's easier to say you're going to do it, but, and am I perfect at it? Heck no. Like there's been days where I've messed up and my wife lets me know, which I appreciate. I've always said to her, I say to everybody, like, just be honest with me. Just tell me how it is. And she's just like, I need you here. Like I need more out of you right now. And I'm like, okay, good enough. Like, let's do it. So.
Yeah, it can be a tough road, but
yeah.
We always say once you cross that finish line, get your buckle, you forget about everything.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
All that pain and training and everything is now gone, and you get to sit in the glory.
Yep. It's awesome.
What year did you pace Scout?
That was 2023 as well.
Oh.
Yeah, last year.
Okay. I ran Scout in 2019.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
There was
was it 50 or 100 at that time? Because I know that they just rolled out the 100 not too long ago, but
I ran the 100.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah, it was the snow year, and Luke had to change the course, and he didn't know what the mileage or what the gain and all that was going to be. So I think we ended up somewhere around 106, 109. I don't know. Yeah.
I do love that.
Yeah.
It's awesome. That's awesome.
That is a beautiful, amazingly hard course.
Yeah.
It's beautiful though. It's a really cool course.
Yeah. After helping my buddy do it, I've said to a lot of people, if you can do Scout, you can probably do Wasatch. Like, no question. Training's probably similar.
Yeah, I remember after I crossed the finish line, when Jeff Browning was standing there, and we were talking, and I said, "What do you think's harder, Wasatch or this?" And he goes, "You want my honest opinion?" And I said, "That's why I'm asking you." Of course. He goes, "Scout's harder than Wasatch."
Wow.
And I asked him why, and he says, "The climbs are a little bit longer. You're a little bit more out there. Wasatch, you kind of, skirt the Wasatch front there. With Scout, your aid stations are a little spaced out a little farther, and it reminded me of Bighorn. I don't know if you've ever been to Bighorn. It's just rugged. You're just kind of out there on your own, and there's like something happens, you got to walk to the next aid station. No one's coming to save you, type of thing. So that's what I think makes it a little bit harder in some aspects, but it was a good one.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. It's interesting that Jeff would say that. I honestly, like, I only did the 26 of it, but from what I saw, I was like, man, this at times was pretty rough. It was tough. It's cool that it's a June race.
Yeah, I did it. It was weird because it was May 31st into June 1st, the year nice. I did it. So I get to finish off May and start June with 100 miles.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Do you remember what section you ran?
Yeah, I did mile 32. I forget, like, that little aid station that they have a lot of cars. Mm-hmm. And then I went through like City Creek, and I ended at mile 60. I forget what that is, but like, it wasn't too crazy a vert. I just think it's gnarly that you guys end with Scout Mountain at like mile 80 or 90 or whatever that is. Like, that's crazy. Like, you climb up this steep, like 4,500 feet, like at the end of a race. Like, I don't know. That's just crazy stuff, man.
Well, so you come into that aid station, and then that's where I left with my pacer. Mm-hmm. And you can see Scout Mountain, and you're like, we're going up there. And it felt like forever. But once we got to the top, that's kind of where the snow course part was, and we had to glissade down. And I've done a lot of glissading in Colorado, and people are trying to. You just sit on your butt in the snow, and you slide down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if it's steep enough.
Why do they call it that? That's weird.
I don't know why they call it glissading. That's a good question.
It's terrifying though too when it goes sideways. Like, it can end really bad. Like, yeah, there's a couple parts we had to do it on there, and I've done it a few times up on our mountains here in Utah, and I'm like, this is scary.
Yeah, because you either use your feet as brakes, like you dig them down to the ground, you try to stand up.
Yep.
And sometimes you do stand up and you go flying on your face, then you start sliding again. But I just remember people are trying to tiptoe down it. Me and my pacer just sat on our butts and slid down. It was a long ways, but it was so fast. And I remember we turned around and looked up, and they all looked like little ants on the top of the hill. And we were back down on the trail and just kept on running. It was fun. I'll never forget that. Oh, I lost my train of thought about thinking about glissading. Don't get to do that here in South Dakota.
I love it. That's awesome.
So what other races do you usually stay around the Utah area, or if you run anything out of Utah?
Yeah, I mean, kind of back to, the same topic of just like, I don't want to put too much strain on my family. So I put in for Wasatch again this year, fingers crossed, that I get in again. We'll see if not, but just registered for Bear this morning. So got in on that. A lot of races opened on December 1st here. So it was nice to get on both of those. And there's a couple of, I don't know, that's probably the wrong term. I was going to call them B races, but there's a couple of like lesser known races here in Utah that I could do, if I don't get into Wasatch. And so, I don't know, it's kind of my thoughts is just stay within that 100 to 200 mile range around here. I've thought about doing Scout, thought about doing I Am Tough as well. I know that one's just pretty gnarly as well. Yeah. And then there's a couple, I don't know, like I think that they're 100-mile races as well. I don't know, I'm not as drawn to them that are like flat races. Like I know there's like the Pony Express, which is awesome. That's put on by Davy Crockett. He's an awesome guy, but it's just like you run 50 miles out into the West Desert of Utah and then you're 50 miles back. And I'm like, that sounds awful. Like I pay someone for 17 miles of it this year. And like, you can see where you're going the whole time and you just keep looking at it and you can see it out there in the distance. And it just never feels like it gets closer. And I'm just like, I'm trying to keep my guy motivated. And I'm just like, dude, as the pacer, I'm getting unmotivated. Like, that's not good. Like, that's a bad sign. Anyways, he did awesome. Like, he pushed through and we got there. But I don't know. Like, I personally like mountain races. That's just kind of my deal. So, but yeah. So I don't know. I think that's kind of my idea until my kids are a little bit bigger. And then, yeah, like, I don't know. There are a few other races that I've heard of and, people have thrown at me. Or said, hey, have you thought about this one? And like Angeles Crest, thought about that one. Like obviously Hard Rock, Leadville was one of those ones that always calls to me. I'm like, love to do Leadville one year, but I don't know. There's just a bunch of them like that I'd like to try to do. I know like Southern Utah has a couple down there, Bryce Canyon, Iron, a couple of those, so they'd be fun. But those are like 4 or 5 hours away, and so I'm just like, want to make sure I'm still a dad and can get back and be there in case of emergency or something.
The beauty with, you can just go do the Zion Traverse or the Bryce Canyon Traverse on your own or with Range, because you're in the park. With the races, you're not in the park. I've done the Bryce Canyon Traverse and freaking amazing. It's 100K. Some of the craziest landscapes I've ever ran through. We got snowed on. We woke up and there was like 6 inches of snow on our tent. Then we drove to the end of the park and there was like a foot of snow on the ground. And when we ended, there was no snow.
Mm-hmm.
But, you start up high, then you dip down into Bryce Canyon. We had set up aid at the roads and stuff, but just a A to B type thing. Beautiful. I've never done the Zion Traverse, but I've heard wonderful things about that too. Just sneak out for a day and get those done and come be back later that night.
Exactly. I mean, that's the beauty of it is that's why I always say like Utah is truly a hidden gem. And I'm sure there's other states and other things like that, but man, there's just a lot of great things to do here. Especially if you're willing to just put in a little bit of work to get to them. There's some pretty things here.
Yeah. I would suggest checking out a Mad Moose race, down in the Moab area there. Mm-hmm. Any of their races are top notch. You get to see cool stuff. Another thing, you could just do a shorter race and, be back home that night or make a little family trip overnight or something. But yeah, Utah, there's huge saturation of races in Utah now. When I was growing up, I knew a guy and I remember talking to him. My parents worked with him and he ran Wasatch, 30 something times. His name is Rick Gates. He's pretty well known. He's an older guy. He doesn't run anymore. He started running Wasatch when I was brand new.
Yeah.
And he would tell me stories about it. And I'm like this 10-year-old kid going, why you run 100 miles and your feet swell up so big? You have like different size shoes you put on, because they didn't have trail shoes back then. They were all road shoes. But, now, I mean, every weekend there seems like there's an awesome race to go run in Utah. Kind of jealous.
Yeah. Yeah, especially if you're like patient, you make it to August. Even, I mean, maybe towards the end of July, but like August, there's lots of good 50 milers all up and down. If you're willing, Squaw Peaks, White Pine, you name it, man. There's just some awesome 50 milers, 50 Ks. And then, yeah, September, there's some new races coming out this year, actually. One just got announced, and there's a couple more 100 milers that I've heard rumors of. So, yeah, Utah's booming right now, like with some cool races. It's fun. It's a fun time for sure.
There's that newer race. It starts right by where you're at and ends in North Salt Lake.
Yeah, DC Peaks, the DC Peaks 50.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yep. Yeah. No, Jake Kilgore's, his race is awesome and kind of fun to see what he's doing. And yeah, I think, he's going to do some great stuff in the future for sure. But yeah, I paced one of my buddies at that one this year, and yeah, it's good stuff for sure.
Have you ever thought about trying to run up for air?
Yeah, yes and no, because they do a few of them here in the state, and the one closest to me is on Malins, which is in Ogden. And I have a couple of reasons, but the main reason is I just have a hard time running the same 2.5 mile loop over and over and over again. I don't know, man. That just, I could, the reason why I say that is this was like 3 or 4 years ago, but there's a very famous race here in Salt Lake City that because of snow and ice, and I don't fault them too much for this, but because we got this big snowstorm, they're like, well, we're just doing a 1 mile out and back, and you had to do that 13.1 times. And I was like, shoot me now. Like, I never want to run one of their races ever again. And it was rough. Like, and so I don't know, for me, I'm just like running for air. I don't know, like just doing the same thing over and over. Don't know. Yeah. Maybe one day we'll see. But yeah, I'm like, the same rate, the same path over and over in terms of ice. And I don't know. I've heard some fun stories from it.
What's the gain on the one in your area?
Yeah, I think one time up is like 25, 27, something like that. I'm trying to think of what Grandeur is. I bet it's like 3.
I think it's 3 to 3,500, depending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So I know there's those two that they run like a couple weeks apart from each other. So yeah.
Have you heard about those, Justin?
No.
They're usually in the wintertime. So the one on Grandeur that I know of, Run Up for Air, it started for Utah struggles with nasty air in the wintertime. And it was, from the lakes, and the air just doesn't move out, so it gets just horrible air.
Yeah.
So they started this race to, trying to be PC here, but I shouldn't, climate change stuff and how to make the air cleaner and all that stuff. So they started this race, and it's a timed event, so 6, 12, and 24. Mm-hmm. And I think they have a distance too, but they're always usually like straight up. So it's how many laps you can get in that amount of time, and some of these numbers that these people put in and the amount of gain they get in these little hours is amazing.
It's nuts. And like, I don't know, like, yeah, like that. And right, you have like the 6 hour, that's where they have just tons of people that do it. And then the 12 and the 24, and like, I don't know, the path just turns into like this ice sheet. And I'm like, you guys are crazy. And right, like they have their spikes obviously, but man, I'm like, I don't know, like that's crazy stuff. And I'm always super careful. So, but yeah, it's just, you go straight up and straight back down, and you just do it over and over and over.
That's wild. I like loop stuff. I don't know how much you've listened to the podcast, but I'm a fan of loop stuff. So,
oh, are you? Nice.
Yeah, that would be, there's a mental gain that you get from running the same thing over and over and over. And it, for me, and it helps you appreciate the other stuff that you go do. But yeah, I ran a 50K, 2 months ago. That was a 1 mile loop.
Oh, wow.
It ended up being like 32 loops because of the distance was a little less than a mile. So yeah, but it was fun. I had fun doing it. I don't know why, but it was just, you can just turn it on autopilot and cruise. But yeah, I like the loop stuff. It's for me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. No, that's awesome. I have a friend who just did Javelina, and he was telling me about it and doing the 20 mile loops and everything. And he's like, you got to do it. It's a party. You'd enjoy it, I promise. And anyways, what he told me, I was like, man, that does sound like fun. Maybe one day for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Ryan, we're gonna fire up some fast questions for you.
Sure. Let's do it.
Favorite shoe?
Ooh, great question. I would say if I'm doing a race and trail race, for sure, my Brooks Cascadias. I've never gone wrong with the Cascadias. Love them.
Right down Justin's alley.
Yeah, I love the Cascadias too. That's my go-to.
Man, they work well.
Favorite pack?
Oh man, no question. The Solomon Advanced Skin 5.
Just start keeping tabs of this.
Well, I was just gonna say that. Like most of our audience or most of our guests, there's a reason for it. We all know. So
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we all know why, but dude, I love that. I love that pack, man. I've had Nathan, I've had a couple others, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm not playing this game with any others anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes tell people once you put it on, you're done.
Yep.
You're done.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Go-to nutrition?
Ooh. Real food or like gel?
Whatever fuels you.
Great question. I'd say Martin is my favorite right now. Right.
We should keep tabs.
I know. It's either precision or Martin.
Yeah. I was gonna say I'm probably saying what everybody says, but Martin is what I like in between aid stations, dude. I'm pounding all those every 30 to 45, and man, they've never done me wrong. I never get any GI issues. They just go really well. Real food, I'm huge into baked potatoes. Love them. Baked potatoes, like boiled potatoes, whatever they've got. If they've got hash browns, tater tots, you name it. Like me and potatoes, we go well together on a race. So
Favorite race?
Ooh. I'm gonna have to go with Wasatch, the Wasatch 100 for sure. And like I said earlier in the pod or this episode, it's the first love for 100, and it's where I went from I don't know if I can do this to I just did it, and I believe now I can do this kind of stuff, and lots of good memories from Wasatch. Yeah, I would say that's probably my favorite trail race for sure.
Maybe one day Wasatch for me. I tried to get in Wasatch. I wanted that to be my first 100, and I put in 2013 for 14.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't get in, so I picked Zion 100. Don't regret.
Nice, yeah.
It's just like maybe one day. But well, Ryan, it was a wonderful conversation.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Where can people follow you on social media? You can give some time to shout out whoever you want to shout out and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So my Instagram tag or whatever account is RY_head, HEAD. You can follow me on Facebook as well, whatever. But yeah, I post a lot. I'm always putting on stories, all that good stuff. And so it's good times. So, but yeah, again, mostly just super grateful to my wife, supportive family, and my daughters for allowing me to do this crazy journey. So they're awesome.
Well, thanks for coming on. Thanks for reaching out, and thanks for being a listener. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, you guys are very welcome. Thank you so much.
I'm going to try to do Justin's job here, see if I can do it. So if you liked what you hear here and you want to help us out a little bit, already messing it up, but I'll keep on going. If you want to get more stories like Ryan's here, give us a like, a review, on any of those platforms we put this thing on. We'd really appreciate it. See you on the trails.